there's a number of IEEE volunteers, but also other bodies that are active in engineering education. And there are certainly some others within Saudi Arabia, and I think within the Aramco presentation earlier also listed a number of bodies that are contracting agencies that are working in this sector. So we try to engage volunteers that believe in the program, volunteers that many of them have graduated recently from schooling systems and are aware of deficiencies that they have felt, and they're able to associate and help to improve the system. Having an active planning team is very helpful. And for those of you that are not aware, as we have been planning the Teacher in Service program, we have worked with very dedicated IEEE volunteers, and we're very thankful to this, that this series of meetings, these active planning, has already started. So some ideas of the rollout plan. Now in South Africa, we have 27,000 schools. Initially, we looked at working with only the school system which were included the last 5 years of schooling. And as we went forward, we have expanded this to include right from grade 1 to 12 and 12 years of schooling leading up to university, or what we call pre-university leading up to university system. So our engineer volunteers coupled with education departments and revised these lesson plans, and some of these lesson plans are also visible on tryengineering.org. And this has enabled the development of some 2,500 pages of lesson plans. So it was a substantial effort that took a few years, but we are planning to host a conference that will then work with facilitators that will then propagate the material down to the level of teachers at various schools in a monitored and in a streamlined and coordinated fashion. At the moment, our teachers in South Africa are not required to have professional development credits, and we foresee that this might be something that might happen in future, and this Teacher in Service program is already in place and will certainly contribute in this regards. So some of the challenges so when the curriculum was changing, one of the challenges was actually that we wanted to make it outcome-based education, but we had lack of the support of teachers that were familiar with how to implement outcome-based education. So by having experiments like what you saw today and in the afternoon and tomorrow, we're able to achieve some of these deficiencies and support. I think it's very important that we are serving to complement the way that teachers do their work to try and simplify their tasks in able to achieve the goals that they have set for themselves and by the education departments. Okay, so some of what I've mentioned. So this year we're working on preparing a number of supporting documents, and next year we will have some conferences and train more facilitators and some educators, and we hope that by 2013 we will have a full-phased coordinated implementation. I see my time is almost running out, so I will say that it's certainly important to be very excited about Teacher in Service program, and it's certainly contagious. We find that as we involve more volunteers get involved, and the team expands, and the various provinces tend to have their own coordinators, and it becomes moving from a champion to champions. And we certainly see that technology education will make a big difference, and I hope that with this program and several other programs like this, that we'll be able to leapfrog technological development in Africa, and it will certainly require effort, but we are prepared towards doing this. Thank you.
I would make the observation that I was in Cape Town for this workshop, and I'm here, and I see a lot of similarities in terms of the two. And so I think the groundwork is very clearly in place here in Saudi Arabia in particular, much like it was in South Africa, to be able to implement this and be very successful at it. I would just like to make that comment that I think there's a good partnership already in place that is very helpful. I think we may have time for 1 or 2 questions, and then we need to break. And I see a question here. And Eva, if you have any questions from the ladies' side, please give me some sort of a sign, or you can text me, I suppose, too. Okay, the question right here. And then I'll go over to the ladies' side in just a second.
All right, thank you very much for your excellent presentation. Talking about your experience in South Africa, was there any effect for these years now, has been implemented for years now in South Africa, several years already. Were there any changes in the school curriculums or some of the, periods during the week of the school to be dedicated for the awareness of the students, like, for example, 1 hour a week or something to be given for teachers to get students involved in these activities and let them learn, so that you give a chance for teachers to transfer this knowledge to their students. Were there any stories like that you could share with us on the South Africa?
Yeah, so I think we had different kinds of examples. We had cases where within provinces we hosted, or within, you could call it states as well, we hosted workshops for teachers where we had IEEE volunteers going and training the teachers. But we also had instances where IEEE volunteers went into the classrooms while teachers were presenting a concept, say, relating to teaching of circuits, teaching of resistor parallel and series circuits, where the IEEE volunteers then tried to relate the examples of the circuits to, say, simple lighting. This is an example that I recall, so I was part of it, to relate it to lighting of the same venue. So the learners could immediately see a need for the circuit design that they were doing, even if it's a simple circuit.
So there was a cooperation between the volunteer and the teacher in delivering this experience.
Right. So we actually had, and this is why in South Africa it's been taking quite a while, is we took a bottom-top approach where we also tried to get the buy-in of at school level, at facilitator level, and then at province level. And initially at the first workshop, we also had people from the education departments, but later on in the first 2006, 2007, we tried to implement it and see what is the initial effect, and then we tried to absorb it into the existing curriculum. We did not redefine the curriculum.
So 1 more question from the ladies' side. And Mohammed, since you have a microphone, we may need translation, okay? So stay tuned. Eva, the question from the ladies' side, please.
Hello. My question is not about this slide, but about engineering in general. I believe that one of the main reasons why we have a lack of engineers is because of a lack of awareness, such as when in the high school. Don't you think that it's going to be good if we have, for example, clubs that educates and raise awareness about, for example, what mechanical engineering is, what electrical engineering is, so that students can choose these let's say, departments? Because some of the problem we have is that sometimes the students choose their major based on how easy, is it easy, or my friend is in this department, so let me try it. So if we have a club that says mechanical engineering is this and this and this, you're going to take this, and in your future you're going to work in this. So even in the future when he works, he'll be more creative and he'll love his work. And thank you.
Okay, I think that was very well translated. I completely agree with you. I do certainly think that the involvement of engineers in classrooms will help to bring that exposure, and many of the engineers would have studied in the same, at higher education institutes in the same country, in the same provinces, who would be familiar with entry requirements into engineering, and they may even be able to show that there is a life after graduation, and many of them have graduated as engineers, and they are now supporting school systems, and they're able to contribute in the context of their immediate community, which they may have emerged from themselves. So thank you for the comment.
And thank you again, Saurabh, for a good presentation. Let's give Saurabh a round of applause, please. Thank you.